Okay, so it's not exactly No Way Home levels of crazy, but I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. There's actually another Spider-Man hiding in this movie. You just gotta know where to look. These are the tiny details you probably blew right past in Spider-Man Brand New Day. So early on, while Peter's trying to figure out what the heck is happening with his body going haywire, you'll catch him wearing this beat-up old t-shirt with red lettering on it. And if you squint, it spells out Delmar's Deli. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's straight out of Spider-Man Homecoming. This was the little bodega run by the super sweet Delmar, and it was basically Peter's regular hangout all through high school. And here's the fun part. Back when Peter was still fumbling around with his brand new powers, he actually had to save Delmar and the whole shop after a bank robbery he tried to stop went sideways and left the deli up in flames. Whoops. There's also this short film called Peter's To-Do List, which was basically a bunch of deleted scenes from Far From Home stitched together, and Peter runs into Delmar one more time there. That was the last we saw of this spot in the MCU until now. And honestly, the fact that Peter's still rocking this faded, worn-out shirt years later tells me the deli still means something to him. That's a nice touch. In Daredevil, Born Again, Wilson Fisk actually drops a sneaky little Spider-Man reference in episode 2 of season 1. We know how to take care of ourselves. We don't need a gun-toting vigilante wearing a skull across his chest. And we sure don't need a man running around in some spider-themed getup. Oh, Fisk, buddy. If only you knew what that spider suit could actually do. Anyway, this tiny Easter egg got fans absolutely buzzing that maybe, finally, Fisk would come face-to-face with Spidey on the big screen. And technically, they kind of do cross paths in Brand New Day, just not the way any of us were hoping. There's a scene about halfway through, set in an alley, where Spider-Man's totally flailing around trying to get a handle on his new organic web shooters, and taped to a green dumpster right nearby is this ripped-up campaign poster from Fisk's mayoral run. Now, if you remember, by the end of Born Again Season 2, Fisk got booted out of the mayor's office and left New York a broken man with nothing left. And that torn, trashed poster sitting in a nasty alley, that's the whole story right there. The guy who used to own every inch of this city is now literal garbage on the street. It's kind of poetic, honestly. Spider-Man never even glances at the poster, so we've got zero clue how Peter feels about New York politics. But this quiet little background detail confirms the Kingpin is still lurking in the shadows of Peter's world. And look, I think I'm speaking for every single fan here. Vincent D'Onofrio probably included when I say we are dying for a real showdown between these two down the line. Let's make it happen. When Peter goes looking for Bruce Banner to get some help with his DNA doing backflips, he finds the Hulk giving lectures to a bunch of college kids over at Empire State University. Banner's up there running a packed seminar, and of course every student in the room only cares about one thing: grilling him about his time running with the Avengers. One student named Cindy throws her hand up and asks a question that sounds exactly like something you'd read in a YouTube comment section. Why did Thanos wipe out half of all life instead of, just doubling everybody's resources? Classic. Now, if you're a longtime Spidey Comics reader, that name Cindy probably made your ears perk up. It's a super subtle little wink, but it's a nod to Cindy Moo, the girl who becomes the spider-powered hero known as Silk. And here's what's wild. This isn't even Marvel's first crack at this Easter egg. Actress Tiffany Espenson already played a character named Cindy in both Homecoming and Infinity War. But aside from a quick archival clip in the extended cut of No Way Home, that version of Cindy basically vanished after the 5-year blip. So what does a brand new, college-aged Cindy popping up in Brand New Day actually mean? Is Marvel quietly teasing a live-action Silk? I'd love that, but honestly, Her screen time is so short that I think it's just a sweet little tip of the hat to the comics. Don't get your hopes too high. And near the end of the movie, this huge crowd shows up to do the one thing every New Yorker secretly wishes they could do in real life: cheer their hearts out for Spider-Man, their hometown hero. Everybody in this crowd is decked out in gear inspired by their favorite webhead. You've got folks in red and blue jackets, some in full-on Spider-Man suits, and then smack in the middle of all of it, there's this one guy wearing a busted-up, homemade Spider-Man mask with a design that is super recognizable if you know your stuff. The specific way the webbing's laid out, those solid pitch-black eye lenses, that rough, scrappy fabric, it all adds up to one thing. This is a straight-up tribute to the Spider-Man costume Nicholas Hammond wore in that 1970s CBS live-action show. Hey man, I don't want any trouble with you. Could you please open the door? I'm not feeling so great. A lot of younger fans totally forget that Nicholas Hammond was suiting up as Peter Parker way before Toby, Andrew, or Tom ever showed up. He starred in the TV series The Amazing Spider-Man, and they'd actually chop a few episodes together and release them in theaters as movies, like Spider-Man: The Dragon's Challenge. And here's the thing that kind of bugs me. This original live-action Spider-Man gets almost zero love in all these modern multiverse projects. No Way Home? Nothing. Across the Spider-Verse? Nope. Nobody threw the guy a bone. So it makes it genuinely satisfying that Brand New Day finally slipped in at least this quiet little shout-out to Spidey's earliest TV days. Good on him. After the big final showdown, there's this gorgeous montage showing off tons of NYC landmarks, all lit up in honor of Spider-Man. The Empire State Building's glowing red and blue top to bottom, and there's this giant balloon with Spider-Man's face on it dangling off the Brooklyn Bridge. But here's the good stuff. In one of those sweeping wide shots of the skyline, if you've got a sharp eye, you can spot the unmistakable spire of Avengers Tower poking up over the buildings. Remember, back in Thunderbolts, that tower got bought up by Valentina Allegra de Fontaine to be the shiny new HQ for her freshly assembled Avengers squad. If she puts together a new team and just slaps the name Avengers on them, then who are the real Avengers, huh? Great question. And here's what's interesting. The quick glimpse of Avengers Tower in Brand New Day matches that post-Thunderbolts redesign, not the older, brighter look. There was also a fast little shot of the classic Avengers logo in the Avengers Doomsday trailer. Why the visual differences? Beats me. We're just going to have to sit tight until Doomsday drops to find out whether any of this actually means something story-wise, or if it's just set dressing. One of the many baddies Spidey takes down in that opening action montage is none other than Tombstone. He's played here by rapper/actor Marvin Jones III, a name that should ring a serious bell for die-hard Spider-Man fans. Jones is in this pretty exclusive club of actors who've played the same Marvel villain in both animation and live action, since he already voiced Tombstone in Into the Spider-Verse. You messed up bad, kid. That was real careless. And word is he's coming back for the role yet again in 2027's Beyond the Spider-Verse. Tombstone's barely on screen in Brand New Day, but keeping the same actor is a fantastic little crossover nod tying all these Spider-Man worlds together. And honestly, 2026 has been a monster year for this character. Nicolas Cage's Spider-Man Noir show has its own alternate Tombstone, played by Abraham Popoola, and that version's written way more tragic and sympathetic. A guy who's genuinely chasing redemption, which is a wild contrast to the Brand New Day Tombstone, who's just cranked up to full-on bad guy, so he leaves a mark in what's basically 5 seconds of screen time. Efficient, I'll give him that. Over in the apartment that Peter's old best friend Ned Leeds shares with MJ, there's a ton of stuff scattered around that screams Ned and his nerdy hobbies. You've got little Lego figures lined up on his desk, and his computer's just constantly running Star Wars. specifically The Empire Strikes Back, which, fun fact, is the exact movie Peter would not shut up about back in Captain America: Civil War. You know that scene where they're on the snow planet and they're riding those big walking robot things? The bedroom walls are also plastered with all kinds of anime prints, and one that stands out, it's clearly visible in two separate scenes, is a Naruto poster. Now, for most casual viewers, that's just going to read as random apartment decoration, but behind the scenes, this one's got way more going on. That poster is a direct shout out to the live-action Naruto movie that's currently being developed by, get this, Brand New Day director Destin Daniel Cretton himself. And just a few weeks before Brand New Day hit theaters, it was officially announced that they'd kicked off the casting hunt for the three main Naruto leads. This adaptation's been stuck in development limbo for years, so this Easter egg is basically the director planting a flag and saying, nope, I'm actually doing this thing. I'm rooting for it. There were a ton of fan theories flying around about Spider-Man Brand New Day over the past year. Everybody and their mom was arguing about what the actual story was going to be, and most of that chatter centered on this mysterious role voiced by Keith David. That deep, iconic voice of his anchored the movie's very first teaser, dropping these dramatic monologues all about the life cycle of spiders. Between each cycle, the spider is left exposed to the dangers around it. For months, the internet went absolutely feral, trying to figure out which Marvel character Keith David was voicing. Was he Kwaku Nancy? Some new take on the Jackal? Everybody just assumed it had to be some huge, game-changing villain. Well, it's big news, all right. Just the most anticlimactic version of big news you can imagine. And honestly, this kind of runaway speculation happens with basically every comic book blockbuster. Before The Dark Knight came out, people were dead. Certain Anthony Michael Hall was playing the Riddler. Turns out he was just a minor news reporter. Scoot McNairy was rumored to be Jimmy Olsen in Batman v Superman. And nope, totally original throwaway character. Ike Barinholtz got wrongly pegged as Hugo Strange in Suicide Squad. I could do this all day. And now Keith David joins that hall of fame of letdown reveals, because he's just the unnamed narrator of a spider documentary that Peter's watching by himself in his apartment. That's it. That's the whole thing. Nothing more. But I'll admit the trailer was incredible, so there's that. I'm not gonna lie though, I'm a little bummed. That lecture Peter accidentally stumbles into when he's looking for Bruce Banner, it's all about quantum travel tech. Basically an extension of the whole multiverse quantum physics thing that made the time heist in Avengers Endgame possible. And we all know Tony Stark was the genius who cracked this entire field wide open during Endgame. So there's something genuinely heartwarming about seeing Bruce Banner now up in front of a college classroom, teaching the stuff that's tied to the Avengers' biggest adventures. Basically prepping the next generation of young scientists. He's showing them how it all works, just in case they ever need to hop back a decade to fix things for themselves. Huh. What used to be this incomprehensible cosmic magic is now, apparently, just a regular science class at Empire State University. Wild how far we've come. And honestly, this has been Banner's whole vibe ever since his little cameo in Shang-Chi and his run on She-Hulk. When he's not out there raging and smashing everything in sight as the Hulk, the guy's spending his time teaching young minds how to survive in this crazy multiverse-packed era we're living in. Gotta love him for it.